Welcome to That Game Show, the awkward, inappropriate, random podcast that occasionally talks about games.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to That Game Show. I am Chase Bunker, joined alongside Kyle Helmstetter, who I don't know is actually going to pay attention to this episode because if you know Kyle, you know he's a big hockey guy, and we are recording this during Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. Kyle, are you actually paying attention to this episode?
I am. I have the score on a side browser right now, but
on a side browser. Okay,
Two monitors.
I'm wondering, because I used to do this for ESPN 690, if we should do the interrupting hockey guy, where I would call in. This was during when the Tampa Bay Lightning would, when they're going on their Stanley Cup run for both years, I would call in the middle of the show and just, like, they wouldn't introduce me. I would just shout, "Score! Nikita Kucherov, blah, blah, blah." Yeah, and so
goodness.
I know. I know. I mixed Nikola Vucevic with Nikita Kucherov. You know, who I just was talking about too. We're getting into too much hockey. Like
too meta.
This is getting way too meta. And I'm curious right now if we should just have you interrupt the segment like midway through anybody's point and just shout, "Score!"
I think if I cared more about either team, really the Panthers or the Oilers, I would do it. I'm not super invested in it, so I'll give it the respect right now. We'll see. If I truly feel like I want to be disruptive, maybe I'll do it.
All right. Okay, excellent. Lots to talk about. We might have to separate out into two separate shows because lots of stuff happened. You had Summer Game Fest. Everybody's saying that the Twitch 2 is too expensive, are just a bunch of fat liars. And Elden Ring, Nightreign came out. Okay, let's do that. Let's start off with that because you're giving the thumbs down immediately for all the audio listeners. Kyle immediately gave the thumbs down. Why are you giving it the thumbs down right now?
I mean, I'll be the first to say that Elden Ring's initial stylistic approach to the multiplayer was not exactly the best. And now, granted, Souls games and multiplayer, or rather co-op, I should say, never been great. I mean, Bloodborne's was, in my personal opinion, pretty pathetic. It sucked. It was a pain to play. Elden Ring's wasn't much better. It was kind of janky at times. It had its goodness. I would say out of all of them, better than most. Still janky though. When I actually went through and genuinely wanted to play Elden Ring with, I did seamless co-op. The mod that was on Vortex.
Yeah.
And boy, did that like revolutionize the game because it made it so smooth. It made it really like enjoyable. Actually really enjoyed it that way. So when this one came out, when Nightreign came out, I was like, I already know this is not great. And sure as heck, it like was not executed well. The forced three-player co-op, not good. I just really thought that they flopped it. And I have two friends to play with, so it was going to be okay. But like, majority of people, boy, was that a ball that was dropped.
Yeah, your mic keeps cutting off, but it also sounds like you're swearing every time you're cutting it off. So it's kind of funny like that. Yeah, I never got a chance to do like the seamless co-op on Elden Ring because I had it on my PS5, so I never really did any multiplayer on that. I didn't realize that Bloodborne actually had multiplayer, so that's new on my end. It's definitely a bit of a rough launch. I think it's definitely better with 3 people. Playing it solo was a bit tough, but now, of course, they've since modded it. I don't understand why you don't implement duos or at least have a form of duos because my wife and I would both like to play it. But the thing is, like, even with the 3 people, even with 3 randos, like, I still really enjoy it. Like, it's still a lot of fun. And my one issue, well, I have 2 issues, really. Is one, the Duke's Dear Freya from Dark Souls 2 doesn't need to be there. It's in the game. That makes me angry. And if you don't know what that is, giant spider. It's what it is. It is a giant 2-headed spider.
You always have to have a spider in a Souls game. It's a requirement.
You don't.
You
You
do.
don't,
You do
but
though.
no. And then, of course, also the finger creepers are still in the game. You could have gone
Mm.
without that. I hate them, and the worst part was I thought that they were confined to one area, and so I was
No.
doing it solo. And so, for those of you who don't know, Elden Ring Nightreign it's a roguelite co-op game where you go around this area called Limveld, and then over time the land starts like shrinking with this like dark shadow, and you have to get to a certain area. Sort of how like with Fortnite and all like battle royales, like it gets, the arena gets like smaller and smaller. You have to go to a certain area. In that area, you'll fight a whole bunch of minions, and then you'll fight a boss. Those minions, they change over time, and so sometimes they'll just be a bunch of like zombie-like creatures. Sometimes it'll be bats. And the one time that I went solo, I turned around, like maybe I can get a quick heal in real quick. Oh, there's giant hands in my face, and I hated it. I shouted at 2 o'clock in the morning, "Oh, I'm not gonna like this." But it's fun other than that.
I mean, what's bad about getting finger blasted?
I don't know if we're allowed to say that.
Well, now we can't because you alluded that it has a negative connotation,
Don't
but
act like you
prior
were
to it was
being
okay.
innocent. You were
It was
not
fine.
being
It
innocent.
was fine. There was nothing wrong with that statement until it was made to be a negative statement.
That's the other thing that I hate about the finger creepers is just the fact that not only they have like bigger versions, they also have a ranged ability. It's like you could have gone without that. Like I mean, I've said the same thing, and of course, like I've said it during my Elden Ring piece that made me look like a neck bearded grifter. Like they don't have to exist in every game.
But how else can you show off the fact that they are fantasy horror, bodily grotesque creatures? Come on. That's like Souls 101.
But the grafted scions are that exact reason. Like, there's a centipede demon. Like, there's so many other grotesque creatures. It's like, you could literally just do without that one.
The rules of a Souls game, if you're going to create one, you have to open up the book of phobias and you have to look at the top 20 and then you have to go to the next like 20 and then you say, I've got about 40 creatures here that I can now implement. And I will, in fact, have checked off most players' horrors at some point.
What's your fear of public speaking then? How would you do that as a creature?
You have to have an open mic.
Yeah, that was really way too quick. I hate how quick you were on that. I still think also, side note, that how many games are implementing like open mic systems.
It's both enjoyable, but also at the same time, it's very exploitable because a lot of them can't implement Discord, for instance, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I could just play in Discord and I don't have to utilize proximity mics and open mics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Solved.
Which, I mean, like, yeah, you're kind of cheating because I know, like, in Repo, like, sound cues are key because you don't want the huntsman to, find you and shoot you. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, there is an easy hack, like, if we wanted to solve this. I guess that's one of those things where, like, do you want the true experience or do you just want to, like, get the money and then run?
It's also, can you rely on their open mic system to be good enough? Like, yes, sometimes they tune up and down the sound quality, and you can't really change that too well. I think Repo is actually one of those games where I struggled to find a good medium for sound quality because I don't, and this is, again, this has been a minute since I played it. I don't necessarily know if you can adjust people's volumes. You might be able to, but I think the first time I played it, it was kind of like everybody was the same set, and I was like, boy, some people are really loud. This has got to be fixed like fast.
Yeah, I think when I last played it, everybody had the same set volume. I haven't played it in a bit because I've just been playing so many different other things. I just finished Cyberpunk and Phantom Liberty, which, by the way, both fantastic games. And I understand the argument of when people say, "Wait, why does Shadow the Erdtree get a Game of the Year nomination and not Phantom Liberty?" Because I thought Phantom Liberty was absolutely great. That intro is fantastic.
I gotta say, the recompense and the like just the fixing of Cyberpunk from release to now. Oh boy, it's
Yeah,
pretty impressive.
it is.
It's really impressive.
Yes, it really is. Like that whole thing, like it's very much like I think the only other one I could think of is maybe like Fallout 76 had a really rough launch, and that
They fixed it.
they fixed that. I think that the proper term I think has to be No Man's Skied it, because No Man's
Yes,
Sky, I
yeah,
think every time I hear broken game at
yeah.
launch and then
Thinking No Man's
fixed it to
Sky.
something incredible, I immediately think No Man's Skied it, and I think that's just the term we're just going to use now. They No Man's Skied it, and it's a
Yeah.
fantastic game. I loved a lot about Cyberpunk. This really took some turns. The driving is just janky as hell, though. Like that's
Yeah.
one of those where it's like,
Yeah.
has anybody at CD Projekt Red ever driven a car? Because it's like, I'm gonna make a slight turn. Oh, I'm now going 360.
I'm burning out.
Yep. I'm burning out in the middle of this intersection.
I mean, first person driving is already a struggle in a video game. The janky controls definitely don't do you any favors, and I think
No.
it makes you feel even worse.
Oh yeah. No, I turned that off. I went third person. I'm like, I'm not gonna
You have
deal with
to.
this. Yeah, you have
You
to.
absolutely have to.
Oh, it's so necessary. You can't do it anything else. Like, I also found out this. I think the biggest lie I always tell myself is I'm not going to do all the side quests, and then I just do all the side quests. Because initially
I
I'm
feel like
just
you have
like,
to.
yeah, but like there is a point where it just doesn't do anything. Like there's no, it's other than it's just bloat. But at the same
Yeah.
time, like because like I did that with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where I did every side quest, and it's like I shouldn't be doing all of these. Like there's no point to me doing all of these. But for some reason, like a psychopath, I just keep coming back.
Agree and disagree though, because I feel like the side quests aid in the game feeling natural to use it as a protagonist. Because it's like, okay, for instance, playing Zenless Zone Zero right now,
Hmm.
all those side quests don't really do much other than like levels and a few like extra like, little things to get more pulls later on for characters and agents. But it's the act of the side quests that makes me feel that I'm really part of the game. Or Fallout, any of the Fallout games.
Yeah.
You use Skyrim, I suppose, but Skyrim has no dialogue, so it's a little worse. But Fallout 4, for instance, where you have dialogue, makes me feel like I'm the true sole survivor. I really get immersed in the world because I'm sitting here with like, I don't know, some unnamed settler who's like, "Can you go and solve the raiders?" And I'm not really, I don't want to. I'm sick and tired of murdering raiders. However, for you, I will do it because I'm the guy. I'm the type of guy. I'm gonna do it. Like I have to. It's part of who I am now. I'm ingrained until I burn out.
It's I think also if you're like it's tough because you don't want to speed run through some of these games, but at the
Mhm.
same time, like there comes a certain point where you're just like, all right, I gotta end this because this does nothing for me anymore. Like everything's already scaled up. I've already got the best
Yeah.
gear.
Yeah.
I know that there's two ways to do side quests. You do the side quests that, or I guess there's two versions, I should say, for two versions for side quests. You do them so you get grossly overpowered and you just essentially one shot the final boss because you're that broken,
Yeah.
or you do it to get like good loot and then everything scales up. So at a certain point, you
Ooh.
just kind of peak.
No, I'm gonna add a third one though. The role play element, though. The role play element should always be considered because, truly speaking, that's why I do the side quests. It's the I get immersed in my character, especially if I design my character. Like if I'm not inheriting, like Valhalla, for instance,
Hmm.
you inherit the character. But if it's like Fallout 4, where I create the character, I get to choose their dialogue. I get to choose their personality a little bit. The role play plays a massive part in it because now I'm doing it because I could be. And other times I could be the hero and I get to choose that kind of dichotomy. And it's kind of fun.
Say that again. Your video got cut off. Your audio got cut off.
Oh, man, this is mother. All right. So I'm going to lose my freaking mind. You do it for the role play because, in some essences, if I get to choose my character and create them from scratch, the role play is the most critical portion to me. I'm not even doing it for loot or for money or for gear. I'm doing it because I get to choose the outcome. and it really just as a role-playing game, I think it adds the most substance to the game itself.
Okay. I'm glad that
Did that
you
come
got,
through?
because yes, that came through. Because like here's the
Yes.
thing, like you've been cutting out this entire time, and so it's yeah, it does suck, and it's one of the, and it's because I literally just watched IGN do like a basic review of Arc Raiders, and they first off like exported at like 50 frames a second, and then all the video was taken in on low, so like an explosion is just literally like a yellow block, and I'm just thinking to
Mm.
myself like even us like as a podcast, like a video podcast, we have like we put out at least some good quality, and then of course this happens where like your mic's cutting out, and I'm just like, yeah, we're just gonna have to kind of deal with that.
I can't figure out. You know, it's crazy. I was playing D&D the other day, and a similar thing was happening. I can't tell if it's my mic slowly burning out or if it's Discord just doing Discord things. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, hopefully it's not your mic burning out, but the thing is, I don't think Discord sucks, and that's the worst part.
No, I think yeah, I think it's gonna be time to go on a shopping spree. Shopping montage. Ooh.
Chase Bunker,
You know what's crazy
What's
about Harley
that?
Quinn?
Kyle Helmstetter.
When did people start liking people from New York?
This is That Game Show.
The other thing I wanted to talk about this episode, of course, Summer Game Fest happened last week. We got to see a whole bunch of stuff from Xbox with the new, I guess, handheld. We may have a Soak Song deadline or release date now. Who knows? A bunch of games were announced. I don't know what to think of this because it seems like, and Kyle, I'll ask you.
Hmm.
It seems like a
Go.
lot of people were very underwhelmed, and I just think that people just want like haymaker, 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 and like that's it.
Hmm.
Like nothing below that.
So, I think if you go back to what would you say was the last big game trailer festival that happened? Was it what PlayStation? Would you
I would
say?
say, I mean, the last big one. I guess it depends on your definition of big. You can look at the previous Game Awards probably because that's when
Sure.
they had a lot. I know State of Play, this past State of Play,
Okay.
for a
Let's use
lot of
State of Play.
people was just very underwhelming. Like you thought that they were going to talk about Ghost of Yotei, and you see like this picture of Ghost of Yotei, and then all of a sudden June and July for Ghost of Yotei, and it's like okay. So again, we don't know anything about this.
Well, let's use State of Play though. I think
Okay.
that's a decent example though, actually, because it kind of compares into this, right? So using the State of Play example, do you think you played more than two games that were at least, I would say, either teased or potentially released by this point? And I know not all of them have been, but
Well, if we're talking about the one that came out last month, obviously zero because
well,
none of
fair
them
enough.
have come out yet. But
That's
like,
okay. All right, let me rectify statement. 2024 State of Play.
I mean, there's so many state of plays, it's hard to exactly pin down one. I think the one thing here is like you kind of have to go based off of the announcement. So if you want to go off of state of play, like obviously the big one was that they showed uh a brief like 5-second preview of Ghost of Yotei to just kind of like give you a taste of what's going to happen in July. And then you show off a little bit of 007 First Light, and of course, Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls was the big announcement, which is like this Marvel fighting game in like an anime style.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, and then there was also Romeo is a Dead Man, which was the most Suda 51 game ever. Like just looking at the art, you're like, this looks like a Suda 51 game, and then you see more stuff happen. You're like, yeah, I think this is a Suda 51 game. And so, but the thing is, if you look at the reaction to State of Play, it's very mild. And then I look at the reaction to Summer Game Fest, and the reaction's a bit of the same, where I think we got some great announcements, but it just seems like people just want give me more Grand Theft Auto 6, give me the Resident Evil, which we did get. Give me I'm trying like other popular franchise that I want, and give me another AAA game. And I wonder this. what would make a better announcement or an announcement scene? Would you rather have 4 AAA titles in a 2-hour block and then the rest be like C B minus games, or all A's and B's but like nothing like heavy hitting?
Oh, so you're saying though that the heavy hitting games would be like S tier.
Yes, like you're getting
Okay.
like
Okay.
you're gonna get Grand Theft Auto 6. You're going
Sure.
to get I would say, just because we talked about it earlier, another Elden Ring trailer. You're going to get
Okay.
another popular franchise. Let's go Civilization 8, and then you're going to get I don't want to do Call of Duty because we get those every year. Like, I'm trying to think of something that would like
Yeah.
stun people. The new Mario 3D game, Mario Odyssey 2. So you're gonna get those 4 games, and then but for the rest of that 2-hour block, it's just going to be indie game, indie game, indie game,
Mm,
original IP,
mm.
but it's from a company you've never heard of.
So, me as a player, I don't see the point in getting just 4 S tiers and then a bunch of middling games, because the reality is like, what am I going to see in that big block of window that's going to make me think I need to now buy? Because if you're going to buy Grand Theft Auto 6, right? You're already going to be doing it. You don't need a clip or an hour of gameplay at this point to do it, do you? I mean, let's be real. If you bought Civ, oh my goodness, I think we're on Civ 7
Yeah, we're
now.
on 7.
If and I should know this because I love the Civ series, but I didn't
Yes.
buy Civ 7
Mhm.
because no matter how good it looked, I knew that it wasn't going to actually debut the, and I waited, and all of the first reviews were terrible, awful, right?
Mhm.
But yet we got a really good looking game according to the videos that we saw. But yet when it released, we realized we did not. And this is the problem. I don't think that it matters at this point if you 4 S tier games with an hour of gameplay or renderized videos and things like that, because the reality is, until you actually have the game released and then you see everything in between those very glorious snapshots, it's not that good of a game potentially.
Mhm.
If you're gonna buy Grand Theft Auto 6, if you're gonna buy Civ 8 or Civ 7, if
Mhm.
you're gonna buy Resident Evil, you're already planning to buy it the moment that they said they're coming out with the game. The gameplay itself, the videos, everything like that, they probably don't really change your opinion of it. So for me personally, I'd rather see that I have no idea exists, and I'd rather get A tier, B tier, some indie games, things that could be gems,
Mhm.
because I'm going to watch them and say, I would have never known those games existed up until right now. So, yes, that's what I would rather have, with maybe a big title. Oh my gosh, that's coming. That's crazy. I didn't even realize they were going to do.
I'm going to apologize to the listeners because your mic keeps coming out, and it also just sounds like at inappropriate times you are just swearing. And honestly, you
Man.
might be at this point with the way that your mic is cutting off.
Mm.
This is really an Arc Raiders review style episode for us. Um,
Oh,
I know. I don't know what's causing it. I don't know if it's like your mic cord or what. But anyway, to your point, I mean, it's to me, it's the issue of I know that like you just can't appease people sometimes. I've been in media long enough to know that you can't appease everyone. But I think that like sometimes that people just want like they want heavy hitters all the time. And it's like you're not gonna get heavy hitters all the time. I look at this lineup from Summer Game Fest that they just announced on Friday, and I thought it was a really solid lineup. I thought the Project Sentry from RGG, the people that did the Yakuza franchise, Stranger Than Heaven, I thought that looked fantastic. Death Stranding 2, the more I keep watching it, I never played the first game, and now like seeing all this stuff, it makes me want to play the first game just so I can get into the second game. Code Vein 2, I thought looked cool. Like Mouse PI for Hire, I thought looked it's interesting. I've been looking forward to that. Obviously, like the big one was Resident Evil Requiem. Like Resident Evil Requiem, because like you had initially the the voice actor for that played Lady Dimitrescu, like playing, like saying like, "Hey, here's like the sale happening. Also, here's the founder of Resident Evil. Oh, hey, we got things coming up. Just stay tuned." And you're thinking, man, he just wasted a whole bunch of money just to say like, "Hey, be on the lookout." And then sure enough, bam, we get the trailer at the end. Like that was cool. But then you also have like Felt That Boxing, a Muppet style punch out game. It's like, wait, what is this? And then you have Killer In, and then you have Out of Words, which is like this weird like claymation like two-player game. And so I feel like there's a lot of games that are probably going to be really solid, but because we didn't get the quote heavy hitters, like people are just going to complain about that.
I'm going to talk very purposely toward my mic, and you let me know
Okay.
if I'm picking this up.
Okay. I'm going to for the video and audio audience, I'm going to have my thumbs up at this time.
Oh, I gotta watch.
And so the second I hear a cutoff, bam, the thumb's going to go down, and then it's going to go back up again. And so this could be really weird, and this could be really bad video, especially worse audio. So here we go.
I'm really freaking mad right now. That's what I'll say about that. I sound like Owen Wilson right now. Just wow. Wow, this is some terrible audio. I mean, just wow.
Wow.
Well, that being said, I mean, wow, we got Atomic Heart 2 coming out. Can you imagine what they're going to do with 2? The first game was like missionary. The second game, I mean,
don't take my joke. Okay, so let's.
That's my joke.
No. Excuse me.
That's my joke originally.
No, so it was your joke. So by the way, I'm gonna pull up this text. I texted Kyle as soon as Atomic Heart 2 was announced. Which, by the way, they're also making an MMO in like the Atomic universe, which I didn't realize like was a game capable of having an expansive universe.
Couldn't tell you didn't really finish the first one.
Yeah, I did. So let me pull this up because there's a bunch of, let's see, old ass Corey Perry. I think I'm too far. I went too far because I said something about Stuart Skinner. Oh, Atomic Heart 2 announced. I guess it's Atomic Heart 2 Reverse Cowgirl.
If they do it right, maybe. But I just think it's going to be soaking the Mormon version, to be completely frank with you. I mean, like, listen, I'm just saying, I like put it on record right now. All right, maybe a hot take, who knows? But I just think that it's going to end up being atomic soaking, all right, with the bouncing bed from your roommate back in college. I just don't know if it executes because the first one certainly didn't. And does this make me want to play the first game? I don't know. I don't.
So two things. One, just hearing soaking, it reminds me, of course, of the episode from Jury Duty on Amazon, which I don't know if you've watched that because it's a really good series. They talk about soaking, and that I didn't know of it. I thought it was a joke, and now that you're mentioning it, I'm like, oh crap, is this actually a thing?
I believe it's a real thing.
I hope not. I hope not. Secondly, I think that to me was the biggest surprise, was seeing Atomic Heart was worthy enough of getting a sequel. And the thing is like, I thought Atomic Heart was largely okay, and a lot of people thought Atomic Heart was largely okay. Again,
as mid as it gets.
Missionary, exactly. And the fact that we got a second one, despite all the other games that we want sequels for not getting it, but Atomic Heart gets another. You know what? Good on you for getting that money.
Maybe they learned. Okay, so let's put it this way. And we're going to venture a little bit here, but you know, remember the first person you ever had intercourse with. All right, I'm going to keep it adult safe-ish. You know, it's not rated R right now. We're going to keep it, you know, we don't have to censor this yet. But remember the first part. Let me say imagine or remember.
Where are you going with this? Like,
hold on, let me cook. Wait a minute. Remember the first person the editor, okay? And it was kind of mid. It was missionary. You were young. You were crazy. You didn't really know what you were doing yet. Now, okay, that was Atomic Heart 1. Now you're in college. You're 22. You may pound a bottle of Jack before you do. I don't really know. But you're a little bit more adventurous, experimenting, okay? Atomic Heart 2, that's the BDSM. You've discovered what the belt can do for yourself. And now you're ready to try it. Maybe, hold on, maybe that's what they're going for. They've said, you know, we were missionary. We're cutting, but I'm still in this. Maybe we were missionary. Let's try the hot candle wax. Let's see what happens. Tell me I'm wrong, though.
You are treading.
I know. I'm walking a line.
Oh, you are walking
the atomic line right now.
Man. Part of me wants to continue to have a conversation about Summer Game Fest, but I feel like no matter what, nothing's ever just going to top that. Do you want to give some games that you liked before we head out?
Yeah, sure.
You have killed this episode.
No, I have
in
not.
A number of ways.
No, I have not. I have made a very hot take with comparison values, and you know what? I think I've made a point that we might just see Atomic Heart learn from what it did. It's grown, it's matured, it's got a little bit frisky, but it might do it.
If Atomic Heart becomes a game of the when is this coming out? Like, I don't know if they said 2025 or 2026. Okay, I think it's TBA. If this game becomes Game of the Year nominee, the field day that we're going to have.
We have to get in contact with their developers and their social media team and use this clip because it's going to be valid.
It's yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like the thing is, like, they also could just get brutally offended because we did just call their first game like relatively mid.
But is mid a bad thing to be sometimes when other games exist that are AAA titles and completely SIT the bed? I'm gonna spell it wrong, so you can't even censor that because I don't know if AI would pick up on that.
I think that is fair. That's your new way of swearing? Then I guess I can't get angry at that. But like the thing is that like the new people are just be like, why is he spelling sit? Like that's the thing is that like the new people who don't know our jokes, who don't know how this show goes, they're just gonna get thrown off.
I'm just censoring more accurate. Anyway, games I otherwise was hype-ish for.
Yeah.
I did think the visceral horror game.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I think that'll be a pretty cool game for like a horror game in which you kind of have control over things, but you also don't. That's a cool change to the genre. I thought that we mentioned earlier on the show, Wu-Tang Rise of Deceiver was interesting. Thought that looked kind of interesting. I did think that I don't know if I'm going to play it. I think I'm going to give it but Blade and Soul Heroes, as far as MMORPG games go, okay, with the real-time turn-based thing that's going on with it, yeah, I'll give it a look-sees at the very least. Yeah. And then I know that we had this talk earlier about VR, and I have to mention it. Deadpool gets the VR game. Is VR dead? Is it alive? Is it somewhere in between? Where do we sit right now with VR? Like, what is happening with it? So we didn't get the VR part. That just cut out.
Yeah, it's like you just like, are we getting? And then you just like, all they get is this, which just looks wildly inappropriate to people.
I mean,
given what we've just talked about, this isn't like By the way, if
Not
you're
helping?
for the audio audience, just watch the video. Like, just
Yeah, I was
you'll
about to say,
know
well, how are you
where.
going to describe that? How are
Oh,
you going to?
I'm not gonna get in
Okay.
trouble with that.
So is VR alive or dead? What is happening with it?
I feel like a lot of people keep telling us that VR is dead. VR, there's not a lot to do, but yet, like, we still keep seeing VR games come out. And I feel like for a quote dead technology, the fact that we're still getting stuff, I think it's just a lie. Like, remember, like, we just had an episode where people were completely trashing the Nintendo Switch 2 for the price, and what happened? It was one of the fastest selling consoles in 4 days. So,
Yeah. We look
like,
like jackasses for that.
well, I mean, like, we just kept no, like, we broke it down. Like, here's the thing, like, you can spend the money. Whether you're right or not is a completely different thing. Like, right now, it's unless you really like Legend of Zelda, it's not worth it. But like in the future, it might. But that's another conversation. That's for a different episode. Uh a few games that kind of caught my eye. Into the Unwell, I thought looked really interesting. Last Flag, I'm a sucker for Capture the Flag. So seeing that it kind of got me excited. A little bit of like that mixed with like a bit of a Deathloop aesthetic, not like actual
Mhm.
gameplay, but just like the aesthetic of Deathloop. I didn't know Guild Wars 2 was still a thing, to be honest.
Oh,
When I saw
yes.
that they had it, I was like, wait, this is still happening. um 007 First Light, as I mentioned with
Mhm.
over the State of Play thing, I'm a sucker for 007. I loved Everything or Nothing. I think that's one of the great, like, not only is it a great Bond game, I think it's just a fantastic shooter. So I'm excited for that. The Deadpool VR I thought was interesting, but like at the same time, like, I thought at that moment we were getting the Silk Song trailer. Like, I legitimately thought, like, oh, this is where they're gonna do Silk Song. And then sure enough, like, then there's the Deadpool thing. It's like, oh, okay. Thanks a lot for that. I'm happy Rise of P Overture is happening in general. Rise of P, other than spiders, looks fantastic, and I'm glad that it's doing well. Mafia: The Old Country, what was it? Obviously, we talked about Atomic Heart. Malice is something I've been kind of looking forward to for a while. Mortal Shell, I thought was looked really interesting, and of course, as I mentioned, Death Stranding 2 has kind of got me excited. So there's a lot to unpack with Summer Game Fest, like that we couldn't just pack into just one episode, because but also at the same time, uh, yeah, that's what you got everyone else for. We just kind of make fun of things. So I
True.
thought respectfully that it was the presentation as a whole was good. It wasn't too cheesy. It wasn't too
Yeah.
hokey. I know that people have a bit of a issue with the Splitgate 2. Um, I think that sometimes just like people overblow things like that. I just saw like, yeah, this is a guy trying to hype up his game, like, and also taking out shots with Call of Duty, and like, yeah, I'm all for that because he's not wrong on that.
I think that losing oh my goodness, and it's been a minute since we had it. What was the big popular, oh my goodness. The big game reveal every year. Oh my gosh.
Resident Evil Requiem.
No, 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 no. The game reveal, the big event that we used to have.
Oh, the
Died
Game
during
Awards.
COVID.
Oh, E3.
E3. Losing E3, I think, has shifted the dichotomy of game reveal events, because E3 used to, I would say, be the biggest of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of started splitting into factions, right? Xbox had theirs, PlayStation had theirs, the Nintendo obviously.
Yeah.
That takes away from a majority of like where your biggest hitters come from. So now you get these, we have Summer Game Fest, we have, Nintendo Directs obviously still does their thing. You
State of
get
Plays.
Microsoft State of Plays. So, you got so many different things during the year
Mm-hmm.
to do your big reveals that.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I can actually attest to this. So you're right in that it changed because like before, gosh, this is gonna sound so boomer of me. Before you just had E3 and then like Gamescom,
Yeah.
and that was about it. So you had to just overload everything. Like a lot of people are used to the E3 style of I'm going to hit you with everything that we have so that I can win this one event. And there's nothing, can't do that anymore. I can tell you that E3 is never going to come back. I've talked with people over at the Entertainment Software Association. They haven't even thought about E3. It is something that people don't want to pay the tens of thousands of dollars to have a booth to unveil their game when you have access to the internet. Everybody has access to the internet now, and they can just stream their own press conference and they don't have to worry about it. Like so now instead of having one grandiose event every year, they could separate this out every month or so and just be like, hey, this is something we're working on. And like, maybe you get like a pretty decent reveal. Like occasionally you'll have that heavy hitter that everybody's talking about, but then sometimes you'll just get like you'll get like a Marvel token. So you're just like, okay, that's cool. It's not Ghost of Yote, but like, okay, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah. It reduces, I think, a little bit of pressure on the developers because now you're not on a time crunch to say we have to have this done by E3. Also, I mean, think about it if you're a smaller studio or like your game wasn't expected to be the #1 game of the year type thing, you're not going to be overshadowed. You can now debut it at a time that makes sense because you're not at risk of saying what would have been a top 3 mention at Games Award, or like Game Summer Game Fest, but wouldn't have been at E3 because it would have been blown out of the water by, let's say, hey, the first time Grand Theft Auto gets its big announcement, everybody's going to be talking about that instead of Lies of P. Everybody's going to be talking about that instead of take your pick, right?
Yeah.
That's what the change happens, and I think people they forget that studios don't want to be overshadowed. It's not a race sometimes to be the #1 game. Be instead just one of the top 5 at this slightly smaller but still impactful announcement series.
That's going to do it for us here on That Game Show. All the music that you heard on today's show is brought to you by the band Power Glove. For music, tour dates, and merch, visit powergloveband.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Chase Bunker. You can follow the show on Instagram at @that_game show. I'm sorry, Greece, for all of the mic issues. Everybody else?
I'm going on Amazon right now to buy a new mic.
I hope that it's the mic, even though I do like your mic. I wonder if it's just like the cord and like the cord placement. Maybe you're just like kicking the cord while you're talking and it's triggering it. I don't know. But anyway, we'll try to do better next time. For Kyle Helmstetter, I'm Chase Bunker. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll talk to you all in the next episode.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you check out more episodes on iTunes and on our YouTube page, youtube.com/thatgameshow. And follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/thatgameshow.